ENT 110 students, hi, Instructor Robertson here. We are in week 7. I know some of you are excited and have been working ahead a little bit. Those of you that haven't, it doesn't matter, right? You're in week 7, so now you can work on week 7. So this week we are kind of rounding out material. Chapter 3 and Chapter 15 are what we are looking at. And I left Chapter 3 for the end. It is an important component, and we do talk about it in Business 101. Thinking about ethical decision making and social responsibilities. Click here through to Blackboard. Is an important component of how the business world moves forward. And there are a lot of legal issues that relate to this idea of ethical boundaries and legal issues. And so it's a constant battle we see in our market society and across the globe. But really, how do we weigh things? And how do we keep things, how are we socially responsible with, our actions from a company standpoint? And oftentimes it's very cost ineffective to be, socially responsible, try to introduce more green technology into your business. Those things are expensive, right? And so businesses have to weigh how much they can do, but also keep an eye on their bottom line. So that is always the struggle that we see, in the for-profit world in a, market-driven society. All right, so thinking about corporate social responsibility is a part of this Chapter 3. When you read through Chapter 3 and thinking about entrepreneurs and some of the things that they do, how do they, they're going to take missteps here and there, but for the most part, if their moral compass is in one direction or, keeping them in a steadfast direction that is morally sound or ethically sound, they should be able to keep themselves out of legal troubles. But sometimes you don't know, right? When you are using something that might infringe onto somebody else's, for example, a trademark or something. So always being kind of cautious of that. Also, when we're thinking about businesses and thinking about a company, how do we create a workplace that is a space that is, has a higher social and ethical standard than, and also accountability. So those items are in Chapter 3, really getting you thinking about intellectual property, fraud, antitrust, different types of contracts and delivering, what those contracts say you're going to deliver. So that is Chapter 3. And then Chapter 15, so I saved that for the end to kind of tie things in. And then Chapter 15 really kind of takes you, a little bit into the next steps of things that might be, how would you actually launch your venture? Right. And again, from an entrepreneurship, I feel like this 15 is nice. It's short, kind of ties in a lot of the things that we talked about throughout the semester, and then also ties in your project, your idea, right? Your business plan outline. And how would you get it to the next step? So thinking about decision-making from a business standpoint and, thinking about mentors you might need, consultants, things like that. And so that is 15. So 13 and 15, that is the last component of our text, right? Our big text, big orange text. And those are our chapters for this week 7. And I have those up there. I also have coordinating PowerPoint. I know some of you really like the PowerPoint as a review and as a outline for the chapters. And so then I do have a group of 3 and 15, those chapter questions that are up there under week 7. There are 2 videos that are up there for you that I think are interesting and also helpful to you as you are finishing up and writing your business plan outline. So Kevin Plank is the fellow behind Under Armour, right? And so for me, this is one of the companies that was started during my lifetime, right? It didn't exist before, started in the 90s. And so there was an entrepreneur behind Under Armour. And look at where Under Armour is now, right? So thinking about the driving force behind Under Armour. And so just hearing him speak about the things that are in his head, right? No loser talk, right? He always talks about, that's my favorite, no loser talk. And so, running with that coach mentality that he had, but how that turned him into a successful entrepreneur. And also Howard Schultz, the fellow behind Starbucks, and really how he took Starbucks to the next level and has been the driving force behind Starbucks and for decades. So just thinking about some of the things that that they have leaned on are some of the same tools that you can use as a budding entrepreneur. So those two videos are there for you for this week, chapter 3 and 15. You have homework questions from 3 and 15, and you also have your business plan outline. So your business plan outline is up there, and I do have that. Click on that. So when you go into Blackboard under week 7, basically in this business plan outline, I have these different sections there. If you're struggling with any of the sections, let me know. Some of you, depending on how evolved your idea is, you'll have more in the sections. Some of you this is new for you, or it's more of an exercise. You didn't really plan on starting a business this semester or maybe ever, right? And so this is a newer thing for you. You're going to have less in some of the sections. They'll be less thought out, and that's fine because they'll all be a little bit different. This is really more of a guide, right? And when you look at the business plan project, you're looking at several components. And I gave you a couple websites as well that I use in class. This small sample business plans, they're large and exhaustive, right? Comprehensive. And we're not doing that. We're doing more of an outline just to get you familiar with the different sections and familiar with kind of tying all of those sections into your idea. And so that sample business plans website is there. Also the Small Business Administration, that's the federal website, the SBA.gov, that offers all sorts of tools for businesses that are starting out, right? Because this country was based on small businesses and them then growing. And so the federal government does stand behind that and offers a lot of resources for small businesses in this country. Also, we have our local state/local website, sbdcgannon.org, and that is an actual place, right, that is located in the CBI building there, 9th and State of Gannon, but it is funded through, it's just driven through Gannon and like the kind of partnership that's the business school is housed in that, which I have spent many, many years over there, housed in that 9th and State building, and so a lot of those professors and administration kind of, marry up with this SBDC, Small Business Development Center, that is really there to offer, tools that can help you write a business plan. So if you're ready to get something off the ground, they can help you write a business plan. They can help you find actual financial tools locally here. There's grants that they have. I know that the Underdog Barbecue, that fellow that came here and undercover millionaire or whatever he did. He actually, though, I was last spring, I was at a conference there, a little talk, where he unveiled that there was a grant that he was supporting through the SBDC for Erie businesses that you can apply for, right? So if you're starting a business or you're trying to grow a business, from an entrepreneurial standpoint, you can apply for different monies. And I know that's a new grant that they offer through the Small Business Development Center there. So, as you move forward, if you do have an idea that you are getting off the ground, that is a great resource. And, if you have questions, as always, reach out to me on that. Back to our project, though, I'm really looking for, you're going to have about 2 pages minimum, not including any type of cover page, talking about these different components of what your business plan will have in the long run, right? Executive summary, snapshot of your business as a whole. And we've talked about a few of these, right, in an earlier discussion. Company description, talk about your market. Who are you looking at? Who's your competitors? What's the market? Who are your consumers? So that you're talking about your market analysis. Organization and management. How is your business going to be structured? Do you have 2 people working there? Do you have 20 people? How well trained are they? Things like that. How will you operate? Not only how do you get up and running, but then how do you operate once you are up and running moving forward? Marketing and sales. How are you going to market things, right? So what are your sales strategies? And finally, some of you may have this dialed in a little more than others, finances, right? So we didn't really talk that much about it, but kind of give you an idea of how you think you might get money to get your business off the ground. Are you going to take out loans from a bank? Are you going to look for investors? Are you going to do some crowdfunding, personal loans? What do you think you might do? So that's, you can't really get a wrong answer. I'm looking for you to use some of the tools from the text as well as, you know, be inventive, right? With some tools that, or some ways to maybe get funding for your up and coming startup. All right, so that is the project, and I have that posted under there. If you write up a rough draft and you want me to review it, absolutely. This has to be in that business plan by the end of the term, which is the 17th. I am giving that to you now, so you can start working on that. But it is due actually at the end of week 8, but it's kind of like the underlying project that we have for the course. Now, there's also a final discussion, which I know a few of you have already chimed in, and you're going to take your, as with all of our business classes here, I have you work on some sort of small PowerPoint so you can figure out how to get things into a presentation format. And so you're going to take your final business plan outline that you turn in, and you're going to give me this 3 to 5 page or 3 to 5 slide PowerPoint. And you also, I would like you to chime in on at least one other person's PowerPoint. So get your PowerPoints up there. You can get them up there this week. Get them up there hopefully by midweek, week 8, so the students can chime in on your PowerPoint. And again, if you are working on your business plan outline and you're like, how do I get this into a PowerPoint slide? You can always reach out to me. You can reach out to the librarian, Mary Howell. She's there Monday through Friday on campus. She will meet with you virtually as well. She loves to work with students. She does a great job with PowerPoint. I feel like students don't utilize her enough. And so, you know, getting this PowerPoint slide, it doesn't have to be voiceover, it doesn't have to be fancy, just using the tools that you already have and showing those off to the rest of the class, right? Again, for this one, for full credit, you'll need to reply to one other student's